I know that motherfuckers have free will, but I wish they had common sense too. I'm tired of people asking me for advice or complaining about shit that they know they can change and just aren't. And I know you're probably thinking, but Tamia, free will. People have the right to do what they want, and if they didn't ask for advice, don't give it to them. No, my dear sweetheart. Sometimes they do ask for advice, or sometimes, guess what? If you keep complaining about something over and over and over, and I have a solution, I'm going to do the nice thing as a person and tell you. Because why would I sit there and let you suffer and moan endlessly over something you can change anytime? And that's always like a key point in if I know a friendship is good or not. The good friends I have, I could give them advice and they'll fucking take it. I was just reminiscing on this. One of my best friends right now, when we first met, they were like, yeah, sometimes when I do comedy, I take drugs to get on stage so that I can feel comfortable and get more used to it. But now whenever I'm off stage, or whenever I am on stage and I'm sober, I feel fucked up. I told them, oh, you might want to be careful with that because Chris Farley did the same thing. He did weed and alcohol to cope with the on-stage fight, but because he never got over that fear naturally without substances, he went to coke, and then eventually that's what led to his death. So, if anything, I want to make sure you're okay. So just, I don't know, it's something to consider. And he went, damn, you know what, you're right. I should do that, and guess what? He doesn't do fucking drugs anymore. He gets on stage, he raw dogs the fuck and rides the natural rave and high that comes with anxiety, and he does fucking good. A dumbass friend is the type of person who will be like, hey, Timidity, can you give me dating advice? I want to get like you. I want to date high quality men who have money and like emotional processing skills. I'll give them fucking advice. I'll be like, yeah, girl, all you gotta do is just be super cute, wear your best like fancy little jewelry, like, doll yourself up a bit. Just be nice to them, but also don't be afraid to just be straight with a man and tell them what you do and do not want. And if he tries to suggest some low quality hangout, just simply be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not really feeling that. Actually, is it okay if we do this instead? I think that's more my energy. And suggest a place that's better for you. I even set her up with one of my friends. I told her all the red flags, right off the bat, that she should be aware of. She was like, oh, okay, so if he's this way and that way, and if he's never been with a black girl, should I straighten my hair? I said, no, he knows what your hair looks like. He already thinks you're beautiful. Frankly, girl, all you need is like some good jewelry, a cute, sexy, feminine, kind of classic outfit, or something sexy, and just look good. And don't be afraid to ask him to take you somewhere nice so that you can feel wined and dined, because he needs to impress you, not the reverse. But still, show up cute. Like, feminine. Anyway, so she showed up to the date, in a fucking jean jumpsuit, no jewelry on. She tried to straighten her hair, and it already didn't work out at all, but then considering it was also raining, in the weather reports, her hair obviously looked like she had been electrocuted. He saw her, felt weird about it. He was like, hey, I know a good place that has pizza, how about that? She absolutely hated that idea, and you know what she said? She said, oh, that sounds great. He felt something was off, and he was like, are you sure? Are you sure that's really what you want to do? She was like, yeah, that sounds amazing. It did not sound amazing. And then the date went as expected, and let's just say for a plethora of reasons, he gave her a very, very long paragraph, more like an essay, a few weeks later explaining why he was not interested. And then she blamed me for the date not going well. Anyway, meanwhile in my world, I went on a date with a dude. I showed up looking fucking good. He was like, I know a place we could take you, and goddamn, you look fantastic. I love your earrings, I love your dress, jewelry. He tried to take me to this one shitty pizza place, but luckily it was closed. He tried to look for another. I was like, oh, actually, while I'm dolled up, can we actually go somewhere a little nicer so that, I don't know, a place that matches my outfit and the way I look? He was like, oh, I thought you wanted to just look good for me, but okay. And I was like, no, I do want to look good for you, but think about it. Wouldn't I look so much better in like a classy, nice environment instead of some greasy little pizza joint? We might as well make it an occasion, right? And then guess what? We had a fantastic fucking time at this fancy fucking deep dish pizza place where they had classy music playing, candlelight, chandeliers, very sensual environment. And it's one of the best dates we had. Why? Because when you take my advice, it goes fucking well. And guess what? I had my natural hair that night too. Moving on. Funny enough, that exact girl, I told her in the first place, I was like, yeah, I used to be friends with this one girl, but she had a massive attitude problem. She asked me all about sugar baby this, sugar daddy that. I gave her all the best advice that I could give her, and she still went to that nigga's house by taking several buses, several cities away, to reach his house at like midnight, 1 a.m. She showed up wearing lingerie with fucking jeans, and then she fucked that nigga for free for several days, and all she had to eat for several days was half of a Subway sandwich. and she got to raid his wine cabinets. She didn't get a single fucking dime out of him. And when I asked her about it, she was like, oh, well, he told me that real sugar babies don't actually do it for like social status or financial gain. I told her, okay, so you're just fucking wrinkly old niggas for free. If you wanted to do that, that's fine. Just don't involve me in the shit and act like we were gonna get some fucking penthouse apartments and college degrees and MacBooks together. And I remember I told the jean jumpsuit girl that, and she was like, girl, I would never do something like that to you. And then she did exactly that. I had this one girl bestie. She was autistic. Me and her had a lot in common with like spirituality and race and autism. I don't know. That's kind of the bare basics. We had fun. She was like, oh my god, girl, I love that you're on this level up journey. Let me tell you all about like this guy. I don't know, does he give narcissistic vibes? And then she continued to tell me about a guy who definitely beat the shit out of his last ex and definitely was selfish with no accountability. And I just straight up said, yeah, he seems narcissistic. Probably someone that you probably should not be getting involved with whatsoever. She said, okay, thank you. Guess what she did? She said, I'm gonna stay with him and trick him for money. I said, okay, if you really think you can do that. But then she started showing signs of being lovey-dovey. I was like, I don't think this is good. She was like, oh, he wants to do a date. We're gonna go on a date. I said, what's the date? To make this a long story short, they hung out at like a park for 5 minutes. Then she walked with him to his house. He put on anime. And then 13 minutes in, started fingering her. And then next thing you know, she lost her virginity to this nasty ass man. And then they fucked for hours, and then she called it a date. And then over time, she started showing signs that he was actually really bad for her, and I was just like, she was salty with me and acting like I was an asshole because I was trying to help her out. But let's just say the story ends with her literally he cheated on her multiple times. And then when he had a new girlfriend, he was basically treating her as if she was unworthy of being a side bitch. So then she was buying that nigga food and like calling his new bitch ugly and basically trying to be a pick-me to like hopefully gain the love of some short, out of shape, unattractive, unhygienic ass man who got her a little bit of Victoria's Secret or a little bit of braiding money. I've had my bad moments. I have, trust me. There's multiple group chats and multiple families who can attest to that. But fucking god damn. Now anyway, not to just shit on women, let's get on the men. I've been friends with this one comedian who I respect enough not to name. They are the type that will be like, oh my god, everyone in the comedy industry fucking hates me. Everybody thinks I'm a piece of shit for no fucking reason. Everybody just doesn't like me and they're excluding me from the comedy scene and not letting me be on their shows because they fucking hate me. I said, hey, maybe it's because I just finally at some point I snapped. After months and months of trying to like gently tell them like, hey, maybe you should work on writing your jokes a bit more. Or actually, how about you write jokes at all? And they were like, no, I don't write jokes. I don't need to write jokes. How are you a comedian if you don't write jokes? You just get on a mic and go, I don't give a shit, and then say a bunch of random things with no punchlines and angry rants, and then you complain that people don't find you funny and don't want to book you for paid shows. There's a reason for that, because you're not fucking funny. And it's like, okay, so you aren't writing jokes, the jokes you do write suck, and you don't work on those either. You aren't hitting any mics to actually try, because that's what you do, you have to try. You consistently go to open mics, you put your name on a list, and then even if the crowd is empty or dead or not the greatest, you still go up and perform to get your fucking experience. But no, he thought he was too good for that. Lo and fucking behold, like, I remember they asked me to tell them which jokes were funny or not. I was always very fucking honest and very blunt with them. And I remember I even told them, hey, you have this one extremely joke about trans drunk drivers. That's your funniest fucking joke I've ever heard. And multiple times, even when he was put on the spot, when people would be like, hey, is this guy funny? What's something funny he said? I would be like, hey, tell the fucking trans drunk driver joke. He'd tell it, people would laugh their fucking ass off. But guess what he'd do? He'd get on stage and make the same boring jokes that obviously were not jokes and obviously were not funny and failed plenty of times before. And he would just blame it on the crowd hating him, which is obviously not fucking true. And then basically I gave him the signal because he was floundering at the end of his set and he was like, okay, he didn't know what to fucking say next. You know what I did? I basically mouthed, trans drunk driver. And he was like, what? Hey, Tamia, what are you doing? And I said, trans joke. And he was like, oh, that. Guess what? After an entirely quiet, like 5 minutes of him performing, he told the joke that I reassured him was gonna be fucking amazing. He told that joke. Every fucking person in that room, the bartenders, the people who were turning him out at the bar, all the comedians started laughing their fucking ass off so damn hard. And instead of being happy or satisfied, he looked pissed. And it's like, oh, okay, so you're mad because like it's not even my material, it's your material, but he's just mad that I'm able to tell what's funny while he can't. It's like a weird pride thing, I don't know. Anyway, let's just say bro is now kind of floundering to get tickets to shows that he hosts, and still is not doing well at fucking open mics, and it's still not going good for him. And he's still not doing the one joke that 100% makes people laugh, despite me even telling him, like, still not working on his jokes. It's like, okay, you have free will, but you're obviously not very fucking bright. And I'm done enabling you. Another friend of mine, oh my god, I just hate it, because it's like, okay, so you're telling me that you want to quit your fucking job at the motherfucking grocery store because they only pay you like fucking 15 an hour. And then you do, and I'm like, hey, guess what? My job is super nice, super easy, really luxurious, like super fancy. You're around rich people. You even get free food and like bonuses on the holidays. Like, it's a great job to have. And they'll actually pay you like 20, 21 an hour, and it's a great job. I can recommend you, and you'll probably get hired as soon as possible. And a bitch will look you dead in the face and be like, oh no. And it's like, why not? And she'll be like, cause I want 25 an hour. So let me get this straight. You want to transfer from working at a grocery store for 5 years to a whole new industry, and you want to make more than even the longest workers. Like, that's what management make. Okay, interesting. As you can expect, she still works at a fucking grocery store. Another friend of mine, they're like, oh my god, my life sucks. I work 2 backbreaking jobs and I'm miserable and I'm not making enough money. I have told them, hey, guess what? This one current job I have, it's super easy, like unbelievably easy. No one gives a shit. It's like so painfully easy. They're looking for people who can handle as many shifts as possible. They pay overtime. They pay like $4 more an hour than your current job pays you. It's really good. I can recommend you. They are desperately looking for people. That nigga has still not fucking applied for that job, but he is just, anytime he sees me, he complains about how his life has no meaning, how his life's a piece of shit, how he is miserable, how he hates his jobs, how he has no time for hobbies. And it's like, oh wow, it's almost as if you could, it's like, okay. Also, he keeps fucking stressing over like, ooh, he's done dumb shit in the past too. Like, he'd be the type of guy to be like, oh my god, I hate that I don't live in the Bay anymore. I live in shitty ass Minneapolis or Indiana, wherever the fuck, Indiana. Yeah, middle of nowhere, Indiana. This nigga comes out, finally gets a chance to come to the Bay. And I'm like, oh my god, this is so exciting for you. You can like, hey, I know this place that has like super cheap rent. It's like $700 a month. Really cheap. For the Bay Area, that's great. It's in a nice neighborhood near all the bus lines, great parking. You could be here. Like, I was looking up shit on Craigslist trying to help them out. Guess what? No. They wanted to keep living with their asshole family instead of going back to college like I had suggested, because they always complained about how they didn't get to finish their schooling. No, they just decided to piss away all their fucking money and time on alcohol and sex and alcohol and sex and alcohol and drunk driving and sex. And then guess what? His family, who obviously already was like strict as fuck with him, they were like, hey, we see that you're coming home super fucking late after obviously having sex and drunk driving. Fuck you, we don't like this life you're living. We're taking you back to Indiana. They take his ass back to Indiana. He complains about the same bullshit he could have changed in the past. And then guess what he did the second he got the chance to move back to the Bay? Thankfully, less alcoholism, less gluttony, less bullshit. Still obsessed with sex, still not obsessed with actually doing shit to improve his life. And honestly, he's working to try to keep living with his family and buy them a house. And I just think to myself, your family punished you for having sex when you were like 22, 23. And then punished you again when you were like 24. Like, you were a grown man with great grades in college and an education and more, and they tried to pull you out of school and make you move across the country to Indiana in the first place because they didn't like the idea of you having safe premarital sex with someone like me. And they're verbally abusive and shitty, and it's just like, so let me get this straight. You're working your ass off tirelessly and having no results to hopefully have the dream life of having an apartment with your bad credit, low income, overall pretty shitty family who will still disrespect you even when you pay bills, even when you're grown as fuck. But it's like a thing in this culture to not abandon family, so I respect that. But it's still like, okay, you can support your family, but also it's like, if you want a place and you want to actually save money, how about you actually, I don't know. But he has free will, so he's doing what he wants to do, and it's kind of gonna, I'm not trying to speak bad into his existence, but it seems like he wants to die from what he's doing and talking about, and that's upsetting. Even other shit, it's just so annoying. It's like, okay, so let me get this straight, sir. You want this girl to love you. You knew what she needed to be happy in a relationship. You did the dead opposite, and now you're mad that she still doesn't want to date you. Hey, how about you actually try to put an effort to be the man that she wants, or you move on. These niggas will stare you dead in the face and say no to both. They just feel entitled. It's like, no, I'm gonna keep fucking moping all the time. It's like, hey, you say you have feelings for this girl, but that they're making you suicidal because you know that she would never receive your feelings, even though you would never fucking know. How about you just ask her out? These niggas will be like, no, I can't do that, and then just be miserable for months. Let's just say free will is frustrating, and so is pride and ego. I'm aware that I have that too. I am aware that I have pride because I was just saying to myself, sometimes I feel happy when people don't take my advice and it totally blows up in their fucking face. Because it's like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna say I told you so, but I am gonna like smile a little bit because I am an asshole. Because it's like, okay, you knew that she wanted a man who was like working out, staying fit and hygienic, and you still have let your teeth rot out of your face. You still have 2 fucking hobbies, you still don't know how to drive, you still eat like shit, and you just aren't what she wants. And so she's not with you, and you're going to, and then she can even tell you, hey, how about you just improve on yourself or have any form of discipline or self-respect or self-love. They'll just be like, nah. You could tell a dude, hey, how about you actually get on the apps so that you stop having to bang prostitutes and like actually work on your social skills and face a little bit of fear and maybe have friends and hobbies. They will be like, nah, I think that staring at a wall for like the 6 hours I get of free time is like a lot better for me, actually. I don't know. That's why I just find that shit so pathetic. Everyone's been guilty of it at some point in their life. Everybody makes dumb decisions. Everybody does weird things. Trust me, I have a lot of stories myself that I will reveal eventually. I'm just saying, boy, is it fucking frustrating. And what's even more frustrating is when I stop giving advice, they always get mad at me because they'll be like, oh, she doesn't fucking care. I mean, if you complain to me a million times that your lips are nice and chapped and painful and hurt, and then I tell you, oh, actually, here are some really good brands I use to keep my lips moisturized, and here's a lip scrub if you want it. Also, like, if you wet a toothbrush and rub it against your lips, it gets all the dead skin off and you never have to deal with lip pain again. And then you go, huh, yeah. And then I tell you that twice and you still continue not to do anything about it, then I'm just gonna give you the empathy you so-called want and be like, oh yeah, that sucks. Good luck with that. And then now you're giving me shitty looks, and it's like, what the fuck do you want from me, nigga? Like, you can't keep complaining about your skin being flaky and disgusting and how women don't find you attractive, but then if I give you moisturizer, you hide it and say you lost it because somehow it's easier to just be like, I'm not gonna put in any effort to make my life better. People just need to accept this out of me, and then being mad that you don't get bitches because you look like you slept in a bag of Lay's potato chips. Like, oh, you feel entitled to sex from women, but you also don't do the bare minimum of treating them with respect, asking them questions. Just, it's so fucking lame. Funny enough, I went on a date with somebody, semi-related, and I just was like, hey, I might want to wrap this date up because I don't feel like I'm being respected. But I could continue if you want to ask me questions and, like, reciprocate energy. And instead of just being like, oh, yes, I should take her advice, that she is literally telling me on how to like make sure this date goes well. Instead, he just doubled down and was like, oh, you need me to talk, you need to be talked about yourself to feel fucking like a conversation is worth having, and tried to make me out to be a narcissist. And it's like, Anyway, yeah, these motherfuckers are pathetic and it's sad. But I mean, it's like they're begging to get laughed at. because it's like, okay, you want to keep acting like a clown and like inviting people to come watch the circus and then being mad that you're laughed at. I don't know. I try not to think of myself. What the fuck is that? I try not to think of myself as better than anybody else. Like I avoid feeding the wolf inside of me that thinks I'm better than anyone else. But it'd be nice if you motherfuckers could stop sneaking behind my back and feeding that same wolf table scraps and then complaining that it gets bigger, because it's like, okay, I see the type of people you are. Anyway, that's all. Bye.